All right, I'm gonna hit the live button.
Do it. Hit that live button, man. Hit the Quan.
And then I said, "That's not a walrus. That's my wife." All right, man. You want to try one of these
Oh
Doritos tangy
yeah,
ketchup flavored?
yeah. Let me get one of them.
Wait,
Hey,
wait. There you go. All right, everyone eating. There you
oh,
go. Hold up, my bad.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, you like it? You
mm-hmm,
want seconds?
mm-hmm.
You want a
It's not
second?
bad. Let me
Not
let me
bad. Oh, my
let
bad.
me get another one out.
There you go. There you go. I know.
Mm,
Yeah, Destiny needs to go other side out.
mm-hmm.
You go around the world with this reach.
Yeah.
All right, get you a taste, bro. Tangy
Mm-hmm.
ketchup flavor.
Have you had these?
Yeah, that's why I have the bags empty. I couldn't decide if I loved them or hated them though.
Give me another one of them. Give me another one of them. I'm gonna, just thank you, thank you.
Damn, man, you
Mm,
only gotta take one. Okay.
mm. You know, it's good
Bro,
stuff right there.
Something about it.
if the aftertaste of the hot dog, if like, bro, it's the it's the aftertaste of a
You
get
think that's
together at a park, and you're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what that is.
you think that's
Yeah,
what it is? Because
yeah.
I'll be honest, I couldn't figure it out.
It's the aftertaste of hanging out at the park, like, uh, like, like a cookout, just like a summer cookout, where like you're
Yeah,
grilling and you have hot dogs. Like that is the aftertaste.
golly, dude. That's amazing. I love
Yeah,
that. That's where your head's at with that.
Mm-hmm.
I
it's actually pretty. I enjoy it.
yeah. I
I'll
just
actually take that over maybe some of their other
dang really. That's how
Ooh.
hot. I will say I didn't think hot dog. I was thinking like an actual physical tomato or like onions. But hot dog is the answer. You're right.
Hot
Yeah,
dog, interesting.
yeah.
Well, now what kind of hot dogs are we talking about? Are we talking about those beef
Oh,
hot dogs, or are we talking about like the old, like,
like
Oh,
the
oh,
like
man.
everything hot dog?
ballpark Franks, man.
Okay, okay,
Just it's just simple, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, probably that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would probably take that over. What's the purple bag of Doritos?
Oh, the spicy ones?
Yeah,
Oh
but that's
yeah.
me though. I don't like spicy, so I would nacho cheese, Cool Ranch, those.
Yeah, I feel that. But I
Yeah.
saw them that there was tangy ketchup and then there was something mustard.
Oh
And
yeah,
I was like, well, if I had to pick one, I
yeah.
just kept looking. I was like, that sounds so stupid. I want to try it.
Right, sure.
And sure enough, that's what I did.
There it is.
So, all right, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I got this shared. Did y'all? You want to share this? You trying to share this live stream?
Yeah, man.
Like right now on my Facebook.
No, you
I
can do it.
guess, I guess I can, I guess I
Well,
can
who's up
share.
at this hour? Let's figure that
That's actually when we get our most viewers.
out. Really?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
most,
yeah.
usually.
People laying in bed, like
I'm
not.
like, what's going on?
What's going
Oh, the
on?
live stream's happening.
I
So
mean,
Got
sure.
the and Insomniac.
cookies.
No, that
Dang.
does sound good though. But that's our viewers, man. A whole
Yeah,
bunch of insomniacs.
yeah. Hopefully not, man.
Insomniacs. Yeah,
I'm
Uh,
looking for the
yeah.
live.
Can't
yeah.
sleep.
No, yeah.
They're with us, hanging out, just
Yeah,
like.
just like people. I don't know. So let's
Oh, there it is.
there it is.
Yeah.
Let's reintroduce our special guest, friend of
Mm-hmm.
the show,
Oh
long
yeah.
time viewer, third time caller.
For real? I
What
think that
this?
is that right?
No, wait. This is actually your fourth time on the show because we did that one time when it was
Me,
like
you, and Daniel.
yeah, and then you did
Mm-hmm.
one before that, and then
This
you
has
did
got to be
one.
number 3. This has to be
No,
number
you did
3.
one before you moved. Then this is 4.
Yeah. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. So
Mm-hmm.
you are officially the most frequent Ketchup Podcast guest we've ever had. Congratulations.
Yay.
Exactly.
We need to we need to get that trophy made.
Yeah, we do. We gotta get that trophy.
Yeah. So, the reason we've gathered here today is to actually ask Blake some serious questions.
that
Mhm.
I didn't know about until 30 minutes ago.
I know, but to be fair, neither did Dennison. So, so here's what we're gonna do. We want to talk about AI. Dennison and I talk about it all the time, as long-term listeners of this show know.
Yeah.
But I would consider Blake one of the many people who just casually know about it. Obviously, there's a lot of people who don't know about it, and those people have a lot of valid questions. And so we want to experience this conversation um, from the viewpoint of someone who doesn't know it as well as we do now. I certainly didn't. I think the people who have listened to this show long enough, no, I didn't know jack about AI like a year ago, but I know a lot about it now. It's kind of nuts. So I think it'll be cool. Be a good discussion.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Let's do it. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it. You're supposed to say let's do it. I always leave that space for you and then I chop it. Man, that's on you. All right.
That's on me.
That's on you. All right, here we go. 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? I'm John.
And I'm Dennison.
And I'm Blake.
And this is the catch up. Man.
Tangy ketchup.
The tangy. Oh, my.
The tangy ketchup.
I did that to myself.
Yeah,
Eating
you did.
ketchup flavored Doritos on the Catch Up podcast. Doritos, if you want a
Not
sponsorship
so
deal,
bad. Yeah. Not
yeah, reach out to us anytime you want. We're here for it. And this is what happens. Our viewers spike. Like this and my friends, they're like, "Oh yeah, they do the podcast, whatever. I'll catch it later." But then you share it, and like our viewers go because like Blake's on a podcast. What's going on? So,
Yeah.
oh man. All right,
I'll take it.
3, 2, 1. Before we get into this discussion, we want to remind you, and I hope Denison's prepared with his visual effects, the 3 best ways to support this show. Number 1. Wait. That's technically, it could be 2 also. And actually, with the mic, could be 3. Number 1, leave us a rating, leave us a review wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. There's a way to do that some way, somehow, and it helps us get out in front of more potential listeners / viewers. And of course, subscribe if you like us. Number 2. Oh, geez. He's balling out. Got 2 phones like Kevin Gates. This is Kevin Gates over here. Man, all right. So number 2, jump on the live stream with us. Many of you are right now, but if you're listening on the audio version of this, we go live every Thursday night and have discussions like this that allow you to jump in with us in real time by leaving comments. We reply in real time and it directs the conversation as we have it. It's a lot of fun. And then we get to put that out to the podcast audio listeners. The 3rd best way. Whoa.
Hey,
2 Cybertruck
Cybertrucks.
stickers and a
AirPod?
AirPod holder. Wow, it's getting no. You, oh yeah, he's not an Apple guy.
Oh, I'm out.
It's probably
I'm a head out.
it's probably a Chow egg from Sonic the Hedgehog. That. Oh yeah, there you go. All right. The 3rd best way, if you want to support us monetarily, because it does cost to run this whole production, go over to our shop. Is the support the show wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, and we got all kinds of good, clean merch, apparel, t-shirts, hoodies, beanies, cell phone cases, man,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of stuff. So, check that out if you want to support us. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this topic. I think the best way to start it off is to begin with Blake, really. Because we've talked about AI inside and out,
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I don't know, as someone, because I know, and the reason I thought about this, Blake told me he was having a discussion about it with somebody the other day.
I was actually, yeah.
And so, like, I don't know, what's your perspective on this right now?
Honestly, I think it's just like anything else when it comes to technology. When something comes out, it always turns out to be like a snowball effect where people start learning about it and it just progresses and progresses and progresses. However, at least on my lack of knowledge slash knowledge, this one I feel like can get out of hand pretty quick. Just because it's like, uh, oh man, you're literally feeding computers, which are already mind blowing in themselves.
Mhm.
You're feeding a computer more knowledge about us, about I mean you could give it whatever you want, and it's just going to keep getting better and better. So like anything great in life, there's always a balance. So where's the balance where it like where there's good and there's an equal enough bad. Like you
Yeah.
gotta you gotta you gotta give it boundaries. So it's like because you can't just tell a kid like go like go and do like no like if that's gonna happen they're either gonna hurt themselves or I don't know like you know what I'm saying like there's gonna
Mm.
be some boundaries. So I
Yeah.
know that that's a very sweeping statement, but unless there's some kind of regulations from something, it could potentially be harmful.
Definitely. I
Yeah.
know I can only speak to this so far. Justin can definitely speak on it way more than I can because I do have some of those fears too. I just happen to not have those fears with the AI.
I have a severe lack of knowledge, by the way.
Well,
I don't. I
that's
just know what I know.
why
That's
we're having this
that's what we
podcast.
want. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I mean, I don't really have that fear with the AI that I'm using, but I think that there's a concern over that. I know that they're developing AI to confront AI. There's going to be a whole separate artificial intelligence that if an AI gets outside of its bounds, that artificial intelligence will work to shut it down,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
But I also um, maybe I do have a good answer for this. I kind of theorized this the other day, and Denison, you take it from here. I kind of want to hear your thoughts on this too. But I was listening to this podcast. I listened to a couple of political oriented podcasts, and one of them was talking about this particular episode how nothing gets done in Congress, right? And that's not entirely true. They're doing a bunch of stuff that never gets pressed, but a lot of stuff does mean a stalemate. And I was thinking of all the progress that we could have made. For example, like nuclear energy, right? If there wasn't a political stalemate on stuff like that, which made me think, why technology continues to develop so fast? Is because those people are too old and too disinterested in technology. They don't keep up with it.
Mm.
And it's allowed to progress because they don't understand it. So there's no legislation on it,
Yeah.
which I'm not saying is a bad thing. Completely. I think it is important, a good thing. I just wish it was more that way on other progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you think in regard to Blake's answer?
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
Statement.
uh, statement. Yeah. No, I mean, I think Blake's right. I mean, I think the regulation is kind of one of the biggest things because, we had spoken about this before. The cat's kind of already out of the bag, right? There's no going back. No matter how much we protest and say no, we need to slow down or stop or whatever like that. No one's gonna stop. It's just everybody has access to it, right? And so regulation is probably one of the biggest things um, that will determine how it is used in the future and how it grows and changes and stuff like that. I'm kind of with you, John. I feel like our lawmakers aren't going to catch up in time um, unless it affects them directly very quickly. I think
and
that's
they're
the biggest thing, right?
experts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because we have, at least the way that our current system is that it's very much reactive, right? Something blew up or something happened, and then, oh, wait, let's jump into something, right? Thinking about it, if we think about with like autonomous vehicles, right? We are just now starting to get some reforms and legislation, but it's still really, really like minuscule. Um, about self-driving cars and how they're regulated and how they should operate. Right, you've got like Tesla having a huge about you know investigations being done by the what National Traffic and Highway Safety
Yeah, National
Administration.
Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. Yeah,
Yeah.
NHTS.
So they're investigating them. They're also investigating other self-driving AI or self-driving vehicle manufacturers or something like that. Um, but this technology, right, has been around for years and continuously progressing. And so my biggest thing is that it just takes a really long time for anything like that to happen. And in all honesty, I think we got the legislation to kind of jump ahead a little bit because there was more news stories of people falling asleep at the wheel because they thought that the vehicle was able to fully drive itself, right?
That's true.
Um, and so I feel like we're gonna have that moment eventually that's gonna pop up with, say, like ChatGPT or Being AI or Bard or any of these other AI programs that are continuously being developed and created and pushed out to the public. I think we just need to get to that point, right? I think I've seen some news articles that have already talked about some judges actually. It's not in the United States, but this I think was in India or something like that, where they were feeding Chat GPT the information of the case, and then
Wow.
they were essentially having Chat GPT as kind of like a co-pilot on figuring out what should be the correct verdict in that situation. You know, kind of like
That's
a
crazy. What?
crazy, yeah,
It could
kind of like
totally
a
work.
crazy.
There's no reason that couldn't work.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude.
So, yeah, we're already starting to kind of see this. And so I feel like, as it becomes more evolved and more like utilized in far different ways, I think we're going to really start to maybe see that. But I think there just needs to be that aha moment for our a lot of our representatives in Congress or
Yeah.
in Washington. So,
Oh man, who was I talking about this with? Oh, uh guy from church was telling me that his well wait, where was this? Well, whatever. Anyway, doesn't matter. Um what does matter is things like school tests, stuff like that. They've already this is how quick this stuff is moving. They've already developed AI that can detect if the exam paper was written by AI. That's
hmm
insane. That's how
Yeah,
quick this stuff is moving.
that yeah.
And the only reason I know that was a sweeping generalization that I said about older people in Congress and not being able to keep up with the tech. The reason I say that though is we've witnessed this time and time again with these congressional hearings. Just a few weeks back with TikTok, where that guy was like, "So if I download TikTok, will it connect to my or will it be on my Wi-Fi?"
hmm
And the
yeah,
guy's like, "I mean, if you will allow it to," and he's like, "Well, how do I keep it from doing that?" He's like, "It's in the settings. You just turn it off."
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
the guy didn't even understand how that works.
well,
hmm
And these are political leaders. It's
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, that's a solid answer on that. I mean, I don't know what would be your biggest fear, really.
hmm
Probably just cheating the system. Like you
Mm.
just said, it's just like people, students writing essays, exam papers, like just all of that, like using like it was kind of crazy what you just said, Dennison, about that case. Like they were using it as a like a third party, if you will, to help uh, find a remedy for the case or whatever.
Mhm.
Which that does I think that's pretty cool because it's like if you just feed it the law only
Mhm.
and then you go to it it's going to be the same thing because you fed it that. So it's just
Yep.
like kind of like it's a correctional um, counselor, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think for me, it's more of uh, from my experience and just in my life. I think of creativity. I think of all of these skills that make us human and reason. I don't want those to go out the window.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
so for example, I was out to dinner with one of my friends, and he used to be involved in acting, and he used to travel and stuff like that. He used to write screenplays, blah blah blah. And we were just talking about it just a little bit, and I mentioned you. You use ChatGPT for different things in your life that help, like whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Um, Whether it's copy for just whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Text,
Mm-hmm.
and I mentioned that to him, and he was like, "Well, that's great for your best friend or whatever," but he's like, as a screenwriter and someone who writes plays and stuff like that, it's like those jobs are out the window. Why would you need them? Why would you need them anymore to write something? Uh, because there's creativity in that. There's I don't know. That process for us, I don't think it's something to take away. Um, and then I think of this is where you and I definitely are on. We can connect more with this. It's music.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bothers me the most. It's like, man, music
Mm.
is art. It's expression. I will say, when it comes to art, it's hilarious to see what AI creates as far as I saw. Sorry, I have congestion. I sound like a smoker. I just smoked like Marlboro Reds right now. It was like, show me a metal band playing at Denny's.
Oh God.
It was these images were so funny, and they looked 100% real.
Yeah.
um so for like a comedic value, that's hilarious.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I don't want the integrity of humanity's creativity to be on the line, where it's just the thing you do.
Sure.
It's like, let's just go to this, have it, write it, done. Because we're
Mm.
already in a world of instant gratification and things happening the next day. Amazon package comes the next day. You get a text message immediately.
Mhm.
Um, it's like, well, where is the line? But there are some cool benefits to it,
Yeah.
which I lack on the
Well,
knowledge of said topic that we're talking about. It's just more of I'm a back row seater. I'm sitting in the back seat, just kind of just like watching. It's like, okay, well, where are we going?
yeah. Well, I just prompted Starry AI
Yeah.
metal band performing at Denny's. All right.
Mhm.
So Starry AI, it already has it done. When I used it first, a buddy put me onto it. When I first used it, it took 5, 10, sometimes half an hour to make an image.
Mm.
But
Oh wow.
actually, the Still the Sun album cover was based off of that image, one of the images it created. Because I was
Mm.
feeding it things like Steal the Sun, things like that, right? And I gave it different styles, and it basically had this weird, like polygonic looking dragon trying to eat the sun or something like that, or eat this weird looking sun. But the artist that I hired to make the album cover basically like created over that. And so my kind of overall thought in regard to creation of any sort, and probably a lot of other different jobs as well, it's about working with the AI, not
Mm.
working, because think about,
Not a total replacement.
yeah, not total, because think about a
Tool.
screenwriter that can now work with AI, and now he can write a movie in like a fraction of the time he could write it before. You know what I mean? it's still got to be his input. Anything that I've done with Chat GPT, it's had my input in it. It can't
Yeah.
just replace it. And of course,
Does it
sure.
remember your input or no?
Well, no, because I write it outside of Chat GPT.
Oh, got it.
But the thing about it, yes, they'll keep improving. But like at the end of the day, that's the way you stay relevant is by learning how to work with it
Mm.
rather than be replaced by it. I think the people that are just, and this is just my opinion, but I think the people that just throw up their hands and are like, this is it, like they're the ones that are going to lose out, while the people who work with the AI are going to be the leaders of those industries years down the road.
Yeah, sure, sure.
You know,
Hmm.
and I want to be, I don't even fully know what that looks like.
Yeah.
I understand what it looks like for some industries, but not all.
Did you ever see the Rick Beato video of his predictions with the music AI?
Yeah, I actually sent that to Denison.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you watch it, Denison? Oh,
I did. I did. It was a really good,
it's
really
really interesting.
interesting video.
The thing
Um,
that kind of scared me about it was, and I say scared just because it's like I don't want that thing that makes music go away, because
mm,
it's like it, ultimately it comes from here to hopefully the talent to do it, and then expression, like anything, like a picture or like an artist painting or photography. Like there's a full process going on. However, it's really cool, like in the video that he, like, some of his predictions rather, like, this is the new Napster, where it's like this is going to happen so quick where people don't know what to do with it. I think we're kind of pretty close to that stage where it's like, what's going on? But um, and it might be a little bit less of a what's going on just because we're just used to technology.
Yeah.
If technology wasn't where it is now, and then this came along, it'd be like,
True.
whoa.
Yeah.
Then it would be more of a shock factor.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
but
Yeah.
the thing that just kind of disinterests me from just like the music side per se, the music creation, was that he brought up the thing of like, who knows? Maybe in 5 years there's going to be Drake, and then Drake AI, and then there's going to be the Weekend and the Weekend AI. That totally turns me off as far as
Yeah. Me too.
I'm like, well, hopefully, people who listen to music will want to listen to the actual human singing and expressing,
Yeah.
and those imperfections that make us who we are. Like, I want to hear an Adele track of hearing her natural vibrato and some of the imperfections. I don't want perfect.
Yeah.
I don't want that. However, there are the people that just want to hear a good beat to work out with, or just like listen to,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
mm,
and then there's the whole other side of like copyright. I don't even know what in the world is going on with copyright,
Yeah.
because it's like, how do you regulate that? It's like,
Yeah.
who, whatever.
They're
like
still
just like
figuring that
they're
out.
yeah. It's like, where do you? Uh,
yeah. Where
I
do you
will
draw the
admit
line
that
on
it
that
was
portion,
really
right?
cool, and I found it pretty. It was pretty entertaining. Was like AI took in that video a song that Paul McCartney recorded in 2013 and put the younger voice on top of that.
That was
That was
wild.
wild. I was like, yeah, it's cool, like, to hear that, but what's the purpose? I
That's
guess
Mm,
that's
is
my
it
thing.
entertainment? Is it just like a? Because I feel like right now it's a like, oh, what if this was with this
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. And I think.
Cross pollinate genres and stuff. Like, I don't like. He did
Yeah.
John Lennon's voice too, and I
Over
was like, that
that
was,
instead of that. Yeah.
yeah. I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
I think that's my thing too. I mean, Denison and I did a whole episode about this, but it's it's one of those things that to me, like, it's weird to, like, I would never picture Paul McCartney doing that, but I could definitely see some older artists using AI to make their voices sound younger, and it just seems like pulling the wool over people's eyes.
I agree.
But
I agree. Yeah.
even with the case, well, and actually, side note, Denison, Denison has a theory that Drake's been using AI for years.
I
this,
mean, it's a thought. It's a thought. Who knows? It could have been something like that. You just kind of figuring stuff out.
Denson thinks that Dark Lane demo tapes that came out in 2020 is all AI.
Yeah, they were kind of
He's-
garbage, bro. So
huh?
they were kind of garbage. So
I mean, it's all pretty generic sound except for War. Like that whole album's generic, and all of a sudden War is like a whole different thing, you know?
see,
Yeah,
it gets you thinking.
it makes you, yeah, it makes you think. But like, I think that we're already there with like Napster moment, if you will, because those AI created like original songs are already testing the waters of that copyright thing, you know?
Yep.
And so,
Yeah. But I kind of feel like I mean, I think both you're both right. I think, we're in this weird in between, but I feel like I can also see an evolution of this becoming again another tool, right? Similar to how like sampling became a big thing, or even how I think of this as kind of like when the rise of electronic music popped up. Everybody was like, "Oh, they're not creating music. They're just on the computers. They're just doing blah blah blah." And then you started seeing that they were actually using like lyrical, or not lyrical, but like classical, or some artists were actually using more classical like structure within their songs to create these different genres and stuff like that, and creates a whole different scene and stuff like that. And so I can see it as just becoming another tool depending on how we move in the space. I think that's the biggest things. It's how we as a society want to use these AI. Will we truly go into the full fledged, like, let's replace certain things, or are we going to use it as uh, John, you've heard me say this a ton, as like a calculator, right? This just becomes a new calculator for us. It's something different. I'm using this new tool to help me write. I'm using this new tool to help me create ideas for music. I'm using this new tool to, I don't know, whatever. Um,
right. Which I wonder too. You brought up a good point. Like, how long until Lil Wayne drops a track where he like references his younger self, and then the next thing you know, he sounds like his younger self?
yeah,
You know, like
Right.
stuff like that. You could use it in an artistic way. However, all of it's weird to me. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I see that as it kind of turns me off as far as like it's just that idea. Like if I know that they're it's like this. Like when you go to a show and you just know to your core that they're just using tracks, and if like those tracks died, they would just fall apart.
Hmm.
There's no
mm,
there's no like ground to stand on as far as like musicianship. And so like if they just if like to your point, if they just put out, oh, this is they just used computers to make this, it's just like, well, is it just like the easy way out? Is it really creative? I don't know. Like I
Hmm.
just it kind of feels weird to me.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel. I don't know. Is it a sign of the times? I don't know what it is.
I
mm.
definitely feel like we're more in a. I definitely have more of a feeling that we're in a simulation now than I ever did before. But my thing, like, my thing about this is, Denson said this too. There's going to be like a wave, like, oh, AI is the next big thing. And people are gonna be like, I'm losing my jobs to these dang robots. I'm sorry. But then and then it's gonna come back, you know.
hmm
Denson said that. And I agree. It's gonna kind of like even out because I mean, what's the point? Not everyone is going to want their job replaced, and the fact is, AI could literally replace every single person's job. It could.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the biggest thing, the one of the biggest reasons why I say that is because think of um this. Oh wait, here we go. This right here, right?
Yeah,
Are the mobile device.
some dope back.
Um, it has, if we go all the way back to moon launch, right? It has 10 times more power, 10 times more computing power, 10 times everything, right? Than the computer used to guide a rocket all the way up to the moon, right? And even when just regular computers started to advance just slightly past that, people were like, oh man, people who do the math and all that other stuff, they're going to lose their jobs and blah, blah, blah. No, they didn't, right? They just
Yeah.
transitioned. So I feel like AI, depending on how we do things, sure, it's a different beast, but I feel like it's still in the same vein. It will just it'll shift how society moves and free flows, um, to a point to where we just, like I said, we use it as a tool, we snap back into it, and now we're back into doing same old things, but it's slightly different, right? Maybe some of our tasks are a little bit easier, but we're using AI to kind of optimize and kind of get rid of a lot of those imperfections. I can easily see AI as a cleaner upper of imperfections. Cleaner upper, that sounds weird, but something to clean up the imperfections that we have in certain works that nobody wants to actually go back and do, right?
Yeah.
um so I don't know, I guess that's my big thing. But one thing I did want to ask you guys is, can AI create, because I think this is really what we're the biggest crux, especially in the music field, but can AI create art, right? Can is an AI program able to do that? Maybe
Mm,
not in the sense of where, say, the AI that we've seen currently, but do you feel like AI will ever get to a point to where it will create what is considered quote unquote art?
Hmm. Well, you tackle that first.
yeah, I would say first, like like how do you define creativity? Like it depends on obviously your output of what the creativity is coming from or what you're putting it towards. But like if you're we pull from so many influences for creativity,
Hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
there are micro decisions happening in our mind that are happening so fast that we've logged away from memories, sounds, touch, and feel. Like there's so many things happening with creativity. So if the only thing that we're doing is feeding computers exactly what to do, it's capped. So it's like if so today it's like I could have seen somebody walk by with a color that they were wearing, and it'd be like, oh cool, I would like that. It's like I'm logging that away if I wanted to use that color later.
Mm-hmm.
As AI would be, you would have to tell that specifically to log it in. Maybe, I don't know, but so I think it could be creative, but just to the limits that we would tell it to do.
Mm-hmm. But
Which
doesn't
obviously creativity is way beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I think it's faster than what we actually think it as humans. Like it happens so quick, we don't think about it. It's second nature. It's almost a second. Yeah, it's a second nature for us
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
if you're creative. Because I don't think a lot of yeah, I don't know if people all have that creative gene. I don't know. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
I yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
I agree with Blake in a way.
No,
For
you agree with me 100%.
well, let's say 87.7%. Because my thing is this. I think that AI already is creative. I think it creates every day because it's pulling from something else, right? It's a derivative of something that was already created.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that's created is a derivative of something that's already created. I mean, you can say that nothing's original. There are things that are original, but like if you go back to the first work of art that was ever made, right? That was based off of nature or human, right? Which was arguably a work of art in and of itself, right? So things
Mm-hmm.
have spidered out since then as to what art is, and it's all derivatives of something that came before it. So with that said, yes, I do think AI currently creates, not will it in the future. I think it does now.
Okay, I get it. So I'm guessing your thought process is, like you said, it's already grabbing from multiple sources, which is the creative process of any human, right?
Right.
And then it's similar to as if an artist was commissioned to paint something from something, like right, like if say I said I found one of the artists that I like their works, and I say, hey, I'm going to commission you to paint something for about my love of cats or something like that, right? And then the artist says, okay, well, I'm going to, in my style, I'm going to create this work of art or whatever like that. And
Yeah.
so, in some ways, as AI is right now, it's kind of following those same
Sure.
guidelines, right? Of it's taking from what it's been trained on, and every AI is different because and they're usually not trained on the same data sources, so you can actually get to different interpretations of how it's going to create things, and then it uses that to create the whatever it was told to asked
Right.
to create.
I I think the thing for me that makes it different from like if you like let's say you tell AI to commission a work based on X like this artist or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think initially I'm just speaking for myself, but I think this is a core thing to all of us is uh no matter what we do as a human, there's always going to be some kind of imperfection, and that's what makes us connect. Like the fact that we don't all have it all figured out, the fact that like we mess up kind of brings us together.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going with that is like AI will create a potentially a perfect version of or an amalgamation of different perfect things
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
to create. So I don't want a perfect uh I don't want a perfect amalgamation of that. I would rather have something be imperfect. So it's like if I'm going to draw a line, it's not going to be straight, but maybe the computer will draw a straight line. You know, there are different
Mm.
things that are subconscious to us that we like. For example, man, like I've seen photos. You can tell when a photo is photoshopped.
Mm-hmm.
You just know, but you don't know exactly what it is. And whether it's the light, whether it's the reflections, like you're just like that doesn't look right
Without a doubt. Yeah.
with that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like but like when there's slight imperfections, and and I think that's what's beautiful about this is it's just keeping what we do best. It's like we're imperfect, so we're just gonna make imperfect things our own. I guess I don't know.
Well, that I
That's
completely
it's
I
a
agree
can
with.
see that. Yeah,
yeah
Yeah.
I agree with that as well.
yeah. Uh, I don't know. Take the take the baton, if you will.
Apparently, I can't get them to perform inside the Denny's, but here's what Starry AI went ahead and made for a metal band performing inside Denny's. They
Hmm.
don't look like a metal band. No
No,
offense.
no, they don't. They look like
They don't look like they're inside Denny's at all.
no, they look like a cover band.
Yeah,
That's a
cover
really
band. Yeah.
nice Denny's, I will say. Now
Yeah.
this guy could be in a metal band, but his guitar says no. Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
Of
Oh, it
course.
says low battery.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I
You know,
could see him middle.
what's that?
I could see him being in a metal band.
Yeah, I agree. This was, man, really realistic, for them to be fictional characters, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
But yeah, bro. I mean, it's um I agree with what Blake said. I really do. I mean, that's the human element. The imperfections are what make things perfect.
Hmm.
It's also the micro decisions. Because there's some things that we might want to be like, no, this has to be exact. And then some things we're maybe a little bit more lenient on.
Mhm.
Mm.
And that just put that wherever you want it to go. Like it whether it's music where it's like, oh, that part is a little out of tune, but it actually kind of fits in the mix.
Right.
Like that's a maybe the computer won't. It'll be like, no, it's not exactly 440 tuned to A. It's like it needs to be that. It's like,
Yep.
well, maybe it sounds okay. Like
Yep. Like
it's
the
those compromises. We
Yep.
compromise all the time, and it's like, how do you tell a computer to compromise?
Mm. Okay.
Yep. Like the entire John P. Smith Changes EP from 2015. Nothing was in tune, but it sounded good.
Sounds like a chorus pedal.
Yeah, it did. I just had one big chorus pedal on. Um, yeah, man. I mean, I think we've had a pretty good discussion on this. I know there's so many
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
things that we could go into. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Do you guys think we're in a simulation or no?
It's a hard question to answer, man. Um,
Tell me,
if
man.
if you want me to go full tinfoil hat,
Tinfoil.
technically, you could probably say that we are. It's not that hard to. Well, right? If I'm just gonna run down that rabbit hole real quick. Um, Technically, if you really think about it, right, the way that technology progresses,
Yeah.
uh, it's not hard to believe that eventually we would have said technology to create um, simulations that are lifelike and realistic, right? And say if it was even nowadays, we have VR headsets, right? That have motion tracking, right? And the cool thing about this is what that means is that when you're doing your video games, right? You're playing your video games or whatever like that, it can only render what your eyes are looking at. And then everything else outside of your vision is uh doesn't have to be like super high definition, but everything in front of your vision is, right? Similar to how our eyes work, which
Well,
because think about it, right? If your peripheral vision not great, but right in front of you, hey, that looks great. So it's not hard to believe that we could get to simulations similar to it, right? If I'm not looking directly at it,
right.
or any sorts, it can just descale. You're saving computing power, but even when you jump into quantum computing, right, you get to a certain point where you can just do vast amounts of things, and plus you also have the human thought process of as technology progresses, right? what it become as vast as our universe is, it becomes less and less fulfilling, if that makes any sense, to expand across the stars than it is to create something that you can expand across the stars in a virtual environment that is far more obtainable and less resource intensive than it is to actually do, the real stuff. So it's not that hard to believe, but
So,
I want to believe that we're not in one.
well, yeah, but so what you're saying is you've also seen what looks like a glitch when you turn your head fast?
Sure. Yeah.
No, but okay. Hopefully, people have tuned out of the podcast by this point. Do you ever like kind of look at something like when your head is turning and it looks like it's like glitched out for a second or like screen loading kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
Damn.
have.
You
I
want to?
have.
Yes, I do. I do.
I have, but at the same time, one thing that's kind of interesting is that people were, I think they were saying that outside a certain point of your peripheral vision, or to a certain point in your vision, there's a blind spot, right? And but you technically can see it. I think a lot of scientists have already said that technically your brain is just kind of filling that in, so it's just not like what technically what you're seeing there is what you believe to perceive to be real, but it's technically just a fill in until it actually has the information that it needs. So, I mean, it could also be that, but that also could be, again, part of your little part of the simulation deal.
So robots are harvesting our bodies, is what you're saying.
That'd be incredibly inefficient.
That's what I thought too. I was like, Matrix. What
Yeah,
kind
we're
of
not going to be batteries. That's so inefficient.
no, it built in the first place? I was like, what? So, all right, man.
I do have one more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Mm,
Uh, I was just thinking about that as we were just kind of talking about how like we feed. Sorry, it's not about vision. It's going back to AI. A couple.
what?
Like I had to look up the phrase so I could say it correctly. Necessity is the mother for invention.
Mm,
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm,
So like if you have a perfect system that you feed, there's no reason for you to have this like problem to find a solution for,
mm,
which ultimately drives your creativity to like, okay, how do we solve this problem?
Yeah.
And
mm-hmm,
granted, that could be somebody's answer for AI. We go to AI to help speed that process up. But I mean, how many things that have been created have been out of necessity? Like from music, all of the rockers back then modified their amps to find the sound that they've been looking for.
Yeah.
So like that's one example. Like for photography, like they just were tweaking with things to just try to make it exactly what our eyes see. So, I think there has to be some, because if everything is perfect, it's like I don't. It's like if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's
mm-hmm.
like that. I don't want that thing to shut off in your brain.
No
No,
way. Yeah.
and maybe it won't. But I find that kind of like an interesting thought. It's like everything before now has been a necessity to create and invent. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if you have something that's already just shooting out the perfect answer, you have to have a problem. You have to have a problem to solve.
Mm,
Yeah.
I get that.
I would say the one thing I do worry about with AI, as far as people interaction, is the young folk, because
Them Gen Zers.
well, but even younger than them, because the reason AI works if you work along with it is because you already have a great foundation of knowledge in whatever that subject is. But if you're someone coming up and all you use is AI, you never write any of your papers yourself, all that kind of somehow you don't get caught. But all that kind of stuff. Like I said earlier, I think they probably do have in place some safety for that. But I think that does kind of potentially cause an issue of people not understanding how to write something good, how to create something good, how to solve a math problem. I mean, it's how many
Mm-hmm.
quadratic formulas have you solved since we graduated high school? But there's still a basic knowledge that does help you in certain situations.
Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't. Where are you talking? I didn't. I don't want people to be like when they flip on like the orbit confusion. Duh. Like just yeah.
Hmm.
No, like the problem solving and like finding a solution and just basic like motor skills of your brain. It's just like how are we gonna fix this? What is the solution? You know
Yeah,
that
Mm-hmm.
alone,
I agree.
it's huge
Hmm.
because it's like I know people say men want to fix things. Well, that's a part of us, like that, or that's a part of who we are. That like we want to. Maybe that's probably why I resonate with that more. It's like if there's not something to maybe solve or fix or improve upon, then it just kind of makes you feel a little empty, a
Yeah.
little bit, in
Yeah.
some regard. If something else is doing it, it's like, well, what do I need to do now? It
Sure.
almost takes away that part of your humanity.
Sure. Yeah, man. Well, I think we had a good discussion on this.
Yeah, we did.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, thanks to Blake for joining us once again.
Mm-hmm.
Once
For the fourth
Exactly.
time, we're going for a record-breaking fifth.
again.
But yeah, always bringing good insight, good conversation, a different perspective in this case, which we greatly needed and enjoyed. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if this is your first time listening or watching, hit the subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe button.
Might as well at least tap it. If you could smash it. And yeah, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, thank you so much for doing so. Check out our shop if you want to support us monetarily. And even though I just said it, I will repeat it again. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch up with you next week. Bow, 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 bow.
Oh.